So where are you right now? You think you're in a globe spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. That globe is spinning around the sun at 60,000 plus miles an hour. That solar system is flying sideways through the galaxy at 500,000 miles an hour, and that galaxy is going through the rest of the universe at millions of miles an hour, and you feel nothing. In reality, you are actually in a giant planetarium slash terrarium slash soundstage slash Hollywood backlot that is so big that you and everyone you know and everyone you've ever known never figured it out.
At 17,000 miles an hour, the second stage leaves the abandoned first stage far behind as it soars 5,000 miles downrange. The curvature of the Earth is plainly visible.
I have a beautiful view of the S4B and the Earth here all in one. I'll try to get a picture for you.
Our planet is beautiful. It's not really a planet. It's a great big plane.
A strange message. The words Google Flat Earth were carved into Mount Rubidoux.
How would you feel if I say there's absolutely zero real pictures from space?
Flat Earth theory is actually getting pretty popular.
My children will have to pay for the lies that NASA gives.
The number of people who think the world is flat is growing. Thousands, if not millions of people.
A lie is a lie, even if everybody believes it.
These people live amongst us. I just want to point this out.
What drives such theories? Why are people flocking to this absurd belief?
Thank you for sailing aboard the Washington State Ferry. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Everybody's been fed, except now we've got, where's the silly chicken?
Right there.
Oh, having one of Mark's favorites. We're having iced applesauce with our...
It's not. I mean, it was one of my favorites when I was young.
Well, you like it now too.
All right, so what are we having?
We're having chicken noodle soup, iced applesauce, and some rolls.
Homemade rolls?
Homemade rolls and homemade jam. He's spoiled.
I don't deserve you.
Okay, here we go. So Mark called and said that he was a member of the Flat Earth Society.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, Mark, what are you on to now?
How do you know it's a globe? Well, it's because you saw this. It's not like you've been up there in your Jetsons car. Nobody's got a spaceship. You've been looking at this for 30 years? Yeah, you can throw that away. This is the domed version of the flat Earth model. The South Pole, it's like a 200-foot wall of ice, straight up, Game of Thrones style. And the sun and the moon are just lights in the sky. I love movies, always have. And so I try to compare it to The Truman Show. You know, and The Truman Show was just a giant Hollywood stage 20 miles wide. If you built a stage that was 1,000 miles wide, how many people could you fool besides just Truman? Of course you're gonna have questions. Everybody does, because it's like, okay, how does everything work? Here's a perfect example if you want to see it real quick. So like those buildings in the distance, right out there, that's Seattle. You shouldn't be able to see it. There should be hundreds of feet of curvature between us and them. You should barely be able to see the tops of those buildings. When you're doing the curvature of the Earth, here's what the Earth looks like. And what we're saying is, and of course this is exaggerated, is that if you're here, eventually, if there's an object far enough, you won't be able to see it over here because the curvature of the Earth puts it on the other side of the hill. And you could say, oh, well, it's refraction, or it's atmospheric effects, or it's mirage. It's like, no. Not in every weather condition, not in every light condition. Science is having a problem combating what we're doing. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I hate saying his name, we call him he who shall not be named, says that it's a growing anti-intellectual movement which borders on the end of civilization and democracy as we know it.
The Earth isn't flat. And by the way, this is called gravity.
The reason why we're winning versus science, against science, is science just throws math at us. Whereas we go and say, hey, by the way, there's Seattle. You can see it right now with your camera. That's it. A picture says 1,000 words. I was well versed in just about every conspiracy you can think of. I had heard about every conspiracy. Flat Earth was the last book on the shelf. It was the DVD that somebody gave you for Christmas that you knew you were never gonna open because the title was horrible. It's like How to Make a Poop Sandwich, or Poop Sandwich Volume 3. But when you get bored enough with normal conspiracies, you're looking for something new. There was a certain novelty to it.
I do think that he gets a little off on some of the conspiracies. I don't think that everything is a conspiracy.
Mom's always doing the whole glass half full, and I'll go on and say, well, the glass is probably controlled by some sort of sinister group. There was a German video, the guy was talking about flight paths in the southern hemisphere, how they didn't make sense. And then I stumbled across a video by Matt Boylan, and he was a contract artist for NASA.
I guess this is a photo of the Hubble telescope taking a picture of itself. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And at a high-level NASA party out in the Hamptons, they told him the GPS system doesn't work out in Antarctica because the world is flat.
And they started laughing. And they all started laughing. And my superior had quite a weird smirk on his face. He was watching me to see how I would take all this.
This is what it is. What do you think your first reaction is going to be? It's BS, no way. If you don't make fun of this the first time you see it, there's probably something wrong with you. I became a flat earther because I tried to debunk flat earth. Everybody that becomes a flat earther does the same thing. They say it's a stupid idea, I'm going to debunk flat earth, and then they get sucked in like the La Brea tar pits. When it came to this, I looked at it for literally 9 months before I finally turned around. The Jerry Maguire moment that I had, I remember the date, I remember the time, it was February 10th, 2015, 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30 in the morning to be exact. And I woke up and I said, this is now gonna flip. Once I had my arguments down, I made the series of videos, I tried to be as rational as possible, I did a lot of editing, and I made connections to dots that no one had done before. This is a Reader's Digest version containing many of the interesting parts of the flat earth theory. The first question is invariably, is this a joke? Because it's a joke, right? And that's where we start, because it's one of our 2 basic childhood facts. 1 + 1 = 2, and the Earth is a globe. When I put the clues out, I partially thought that this whole thing was going to crash and burn, because I thought some guy with a master's in astrophysics or astronomy was going to call me up and say, you forgot to do this math, you forgot to carry the 2. And that's it, you screwed it up, you can shut down your channel now and everyone can go home. The first part of the clue is the utter lack of non-stop flights from anywhere in this southern hemisphere, or in the flat earth model, the land masses closest to the outer ring. So I spend day after day looking at the Plane Finder global map. I need to watch a few as they cross either the South Pacific or Indian Oceans. For the first 30-45 days, I was just holding my breath. I wait for an ocean plane. And I wait, and I wait, and I wait some more. Hours pass, days pass, and no red planes to entertain me. And before I even got the first 5 clues out, people started responding to me. Someone said, I want to talk to you about this. In fact, it was a debunker site, a small-time debunker. We went into it, and then he started reviewing the clues, and next thing you know, he was on my side. And then another podcast picked up on him, and then it just started leapfrogging.
And we have Mark Sargent.
Your organization was amazing.
Hi, Mark Sargent.
Hi.
Who better to bring on than our very up-and-coming, quick-rising star, Mark Sargent?
Now I go into chat rooms and people freeze. Mark Sargent's here. So like, come on, just be normal, be cool. I didn't want to wake up and do this. It was something that just seemed to happen. I didn't choose Flat Earth. Flat Earth chose me. So I spend day after day looking at the Plane Finder global map. I need to watch a few as they cross either the South Pacific or Indian Oceans. I wait for an ocean plane.
I first heard of people thinking that the Earth was flat, in elementary school, but in the context of history. I think it was in the last couple years that I heard that people are still believing this and making a lot of videos on it. So I started watching them because I was curious, and it's something.
Yeah, what's this guy doing? Seems to be going south. Where are you going, buddy? Where are you going, friend? Yeah, where's that coming from, if not the Southern Hemisphere? This is a very easy test to perform.
I'm not sure when I first heard about flat earthers. It was probably about 5 years or so ago. Probably on the internet, I'm sure.
I saw an article maybe 6 months ago. I found it fascinating, right? Because I'm like, if these people can pull it off, they're probably really, really smart.
First time I ever heard about the flat earthers was, I think, when I was in space last, and I saw the stuff on social media. I can't believe I'm talking about this.
How do flat earth conspiracies theories make you feel, Leo? You feel positive about them?
I think someone told me maybe that there's still people who believe that the Earth is flat. And so I Googled, and then you find websites and YouTube videos.
879 videos? This man is prolific.
And I was fascinated, and I just jumped right in, and I was probably in that spiral for 3 or 4 hours, and I ended up subscribing to a podcast, a Flat Earth podcast, and listening.
This, like others in the series, is something you can just
riveting. I would watch this for hours.
Yourself.
They're wacky. They're bizarre. But yet they find this audience that believes them, takes them as gospel. There's enough of them that they can't just all be people wandering around with tinfoil hats all the time. These are fairly normal people, at least some of them.
We go in a little sports bar. A bartender runs over, and she goes, "You guys talking about flat Earth?" Yeah, why? And she goes, "High five."
You go into the office. Is someone a flat earther? You go to a restaurant. Is, the person making your food a flat earther? I don't know.
The very next day, I'm flying out, and I'm wearing a I Am Mark Sargent shirt. And you know where they go through the bag screens. This tall black kid, he motions me, like in Fight Club. "You Mark Sargent for real?" I go, "Yeah, why?" And he goes, "I'm not kidding you." He winks at me, and he goes, "That's my name too." And he hands me the bag without even checking it.
They're everywhere.
Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine. 5 years ago, I started doing this whole brain power program, bouncing balls off hammers, working on my penmanship, working on my memory. Titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc. And about 14 months ago, my brain coach, Michael Lavery, said, "Nathan, you got to look into flat Earth." And then the more I researched it, and then I found out that it's actually the biblical cosmology is a geocentric cosmology. Then I realized why they're hiding the truth. It's because they don't want anyone to know anything. They want people dumb, blind, deaf to the truth, so they can inject you with their vaccines and their public schooling and this heliocentric model, which is basically forced sun worship. Did you know they made up dinosaurs? People in the school system to perpetuate this 6 billion year old Earth. Oh, wait, the math doesn't work out. 14 billion year old Earth.
So I actually ran into a NASA employee at Starbucks, asked him why NASA means deceive in Hebrew. Technically, it's the word nashah, but it sounds so similar.
You hate Americans? Is that it?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
How the hell did you get that?
Well, I just got kicked out of Starbucks for asking NASA employee questions. I ended up getting kicked out of a bunch of Facebook groups, so then I started the group, the official Flat Earth and Globe discussion. It was slow start at first. I just added all my friends and said, hey, talk about Flat Earth. There's no cursing, no insults. That was about 14 months ago, and that's blossomed into 53,000 members. Excuse me, can I ask you a question? Anyone ever told you the Earth is flat? What? I just feel like I have an obligation to tell people you don't live on a spinning ball. I've been telling them for years you didn't come from monkeys. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I run the largest flat Earth group in the world. We're actually filming a documentary about it, so that's how it's done right there. You want to hear some flat Earth music? Next level, ice cold, flat Earth model on my bezel. We got some good books right here. Firmament, Vaulted Dome of the Earth. George Orwell, 1984, must read. This is Edward Hendry's masterpiece, The Greatest Lie on Earth. I'll just read you a little bit from the table of contents real quick. The first chapter is Samuel Rowbotham proved the Earth is flat. The idea people have of flat earthers is totally wrong. You know, they think they're total idiots and they live in their mom's basement and they believe everything anyone tells them. It's quite the opposite. We test everything. We're all either super successful or doing our own thing. And I've met hundreds of flat earthers and none of them are living in their mom's basement, so.
There are millions of flat earthers. It's a fantastic community. Look what Flat Earth has inspired. So I was the first one to do a Flat Earth license plate. And then just a slew of them. Everybody started coming in with them. They started changing up the words. It's flat to Flat Earth, NASA lies, all that fun stuff. There's Arizona, Arkansas, California. Probably trying to figure that one out yourself, aren't you? I'll give you 10 seconds. Ready?
It's flat. Inside each other.
Perfect. Wow, you're really good. Personalized license plates are not supposed to be negative, but when you look at NASA lies, what do you read? Nasal eyes. Could be a freaking a nose and throat doctor. You don't know. A lot of people realize that if you're a flat earther, you can only date flat earthers once you get into it, because it's too much of a paradigm shift. So there's now flat earth dating sites popping up. Ever since the whole flat earth thing started, I start getting merchandise in the mail. Flat earth paddleball thing with a globe at the end. It's a clever idea, you know, metaphorically. Have you seen this kitty? His name is Research Flat Earth, and like the curvature of the false globe model, he is missing. Every once in a while, someone will send me a book. It is not light reading. A Flat Earth watch. I mean, seriously, Flat Earth can be put on anything. This is a giant version of the license plate of my car. Flat Earth clock. And of course, this thing right here. That's what makes this community different. Because with every other conspiracy, I'm not going to rattle them off, there's always this dark, sinister, evil, people feel bad about it. This thing really gives people a lot of positive energy, so much enthusiasm, matter of fact, that they make things. I mean, we've got songs.
So we did a little research, and we learned about curvature.
When's the last time somebody made a happy folk song about 9/11?
Greer? Well, I started in broadcasting, if you can call doing YouTube broadcasting, because my father owned a radio station. We've got the jukebox here that was in the lobby of the radio station when I was growing up. It's a 1973 Wurlitzer 1050. It is original, all original, except for the records, the 45s that are in it. Those are all my records. Morrissey, the lead singer for the band The Smiths, is very close to my heart. He was inspiration to me when I was very young. The song Meat is Murder changed me to being vegan. He's not a flat earther, but there's still hope. Oh my gosh, I love cats. I don't know why I love them so much. They're beautiful and delicate and selective. Come on, it's good. I have a bunch of conspiracy books, a little vegan section. I have some books that are written by flat earthers, actually. Le Flat Earth. It's all the varying memes about flat earth. Zen Garcia, firmament vaulted dome of the Earth.
When I was first doing the Flat Earth stuff, Patricia comes on a podcast. She wasn't making Flat Earth videos. She wanted to interview Flat Earthers. She was like the Flat Earth reporter.
Hello and welcome to Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. Episode number 15. Episode number 68. Episode number 159. Mark, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for having me. I could not be more excited about being on this show right now. We started talking on Skype, and we'd have these marathon conversations, 3 and 4 hours long, and we just talk.
What happened that day in Flat Earth, what had happened during that past week, anything involving any sort of conspiracy. And then I said to him one day, why don't we just do a show? And I jokingly called them The Secret Show.
Where are you? She's late for everything. She's always late. 5 minutes. 5 of your...
Oh, there he is. Hello. Hey. All right, you ready to go?
Hey, you guys keep looking.
Don't save the best stuff for the... save the best stuff for the show. That's what I meant to say.
I know.
Hello and welcome to Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. This is episode number 174. This is The Secret Show. I'm Patricia Steer, and with me is Mark Sargent. Hello, Mark.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Did you get a chance to see the satellite that went down in Brazil?
Yes, I did see that.
Fascinating.
And it came down on a balloon.
And you say, how do satellites get up there? Balloons. And they laugh at you. It's like, okay, well, here's one. Me to you. Let's just talk. Just you and me, shall we? Let's bring it down.
Bring the lights down low.
Yeah.
When we started doing The Secret Show, and even before that, we had a lot of chemistry.
Within, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, she said, hey, thinking about coming down to Houston, visiting?
Since I was thinking about anyway moving to Seattle, which had nothing to do with him really, might as well go, check it out, and meet up with Mark to see if there's anything there. A go-see, as you might say.
She came up and we spent a weekend talking and comparing notes and just kind of getting to know each other.
It was really great. I want to go again. You start with the mail, and I'll go in live chat and see if anybody's actually listening to this show except us.
Something I think could have developed from that, to the point where we were kind of toying with the idea. She was thinking of buying in Seattle. She was seriously gearing up for this thing.
It ended up that I didn't end up moving there. Things happened in my life with another romantic relationship.
And then she moved to London for a year.
A few red flags I chose to ignore. Now in retrospect, I see that I should have not ignored them.
Something goes wrong and she turns around and hauls all her stuff, moves all her stuff back at an enormous expense. And her cats. You know how much it costs to transfer cats to another country? A lot. I know you love cats, but get different cats.
Bro Sanchez says, y'all make a good couple. Quit playing. LOL.
No. Look, there's a reason why we've done this show as many times as we have.
Exactly. We are a couple of friends. We do have love for each other. I can't really speak for him, but I do have love for him. I've told him this. It's a love I don't really quite understand. It's not like platonic love, and it's not like romantic love. We're both in a cause together, and that is a kind of love.
Of course, the big news for today is the Flat Earth International Conference. The community has grown to such a size that not only are we having meetups on pretty much every given weekend in any major city, but now we're doing an international conference, which is in Raleigh, North Carolina in the fall. So I'm going to be doing the keynote speech on the first day. 90% of the Flat Earth community are in the closet. But now we're almost to that tipping point, because now there's celebrity references and there's mainstream media references.
The sky is the limit. Probably literally.
Ah, I see what you did there.
When Mark said that they were going to have this conference, and I thought, oh, right. And I said, how many are you expecting? Thinking that, 300. Well, shoot. They've already got, 1,000?
There's so many people that are excited. Heck, the VIP thing sold out last night during my show.
I cannot believe how this thing has expanded. If there isn't something to be said for it, then why is it expanding the way it is?
Right. Kyrie Irving, who plays for the Cavaliers, he recently said that he believes the world is flat.
Is that a subject that you covered with him? Were you aware of that?
I wouldn't even know how to broach that topic.
Hey, AJ, do you want to talk about how you think the Earth is flat?
I do not think the world is flat. I'm just saying there's some stuff about it.
How do people actually believe the Earth is flat? I'm stumped, Kelly. I don't know how people believe that.
Round Earth or flat Earth?
Yeah.
Round Earth.
Oh, okay. You just drew a divide between us.
What is happening? Actually, no. Shaq goes the other way. Not debatable. It's flat. Kyrie, flat. Draymond, flat. What is going on in the world?
I often like to say that if you gave me 5 or 10 minutes with you, I can probably tease out some belief you have that your friends would think that that's a little bit strange. We tend to form the beliefs based on a couple things. One is our intuitions, just what feels right. Another is our subjective experience. For most of us who look out on the horizon, indeed, it looks flat.
That seems like a reasonable thing. And so you ask, okay, well, why are we saying that the Earth's round? If you don't have someone who's going to give you a satisfying answer, you might well then try to find alternatives.
It's what you can observe. You don't need complicated math formulas to figure out where you live. But the powers that should not be have told us so. And trust us, believe us. And we have. I did. We all did.
Something that you see a lot in science is imposter syndrome, which is a phenomenon where the more you know about a topic, the more you feel like you aren't actually an expert. You feel like you can't possibly be an authority on this. On the flip side, there's something called the Dunning-Kruger effect.
The Dunning-Kruger effect is a psychological finding that people who don't have knowledge or expertise about something tend to have a false confidence that they are, in fact, very knowledgeable about something.
It becomes this tendency to assume that you have all the facts, that what you know is everything that there is to know.
If you get online, you'll see pages and pages of so-called evidence that seems scientific, right? Here's an equation, here's a diagram, and you go, maybe they're onto something there. Then I feel like that's just as good as an opinion of a physicist or a consensus of, 20 physicists.
We've all been brainwashed by scientism, by those priests of a new religion.
Science is just the search for truth, right? Science is a way of thinking, starting at I don't know, then chipping away at the I don't know through evidence with no motive on where it takes you. And you come up with a new idea, and the first thing that's gonna happen is 10 people are gonna try to figure out why it's wrong. Okay, it's called institutional disconfirmation. So when you have conviction, it's really well earned. So to have a vendetta against that is a little odd.
Science should have wiped us out literally in the first month. And it's the exact opposite. We're not just winning, we're crushing them because they don't know how to address it. Because they're not convinced they can knock it out, they don't want to get into the ring. We've got questions out there which they can't answer.
How much time do you have to spend on every theory that is out there, right? And many times, the things that we are debating are not even theories, either because they're not falsifiable, or sometimes they've already been falsified.
Absolutely ludicrous what they're teaching. You can't feel any of the movement, and they think, we go faster than a bullet through space.
I'd say take physics. I mean, that's just fundamental. I mean, if you're driving in a car and I throw a ball up and you go, where's the ball gonna come down? It's gonna come down in my hand. Okay, it's not gonna fly through the back windshield of my car.
So are there any scientists that are in Flat Earth?
No, and they can't be. Once you get to a certain level of education, the education system more or less owns you. You're not allowed to do certain things. I mean, think of a teacher. Teachers have to get master's degrees.
Yeah.
So think of a normal educator if they came out and said that, no matter where they were.
Have you had any educators come out?
No.
No.
Are there any established professors, like from MIT, who are being swayed by the arguments of Flat Earth?
That are willing to go on the record?
Well, I mean, there's always whistleblowers, there's always some people that...
There are, and even if you're a tenured professor, I mean, if you come out with something like that, you can get drummed right out of your business. So, I mean, obviously there's a very real risk to their livelihood.
I work for Denver International Airport as a consultant. I work for several of the city governments.
I'm a forensic consultant for the Denver Police Department. I do the town of Lyman's entire IT. There are physics students out there, there's astrophysics students, and they're all arriving at these same conclusions. How is it that they could possibly all be wrong? And my response to that was that they are putting things in a perspective that they've been taught. Nobody wants to admit that they've been fooled, but the reality is it's happened to every one of us.
Confirmation bias is one of the most solid empirical findings in psychology. If I have a belief or an attitude, I will search for instances that confirm what I believe. And also, I'll find myself in a company with a lot of other people who think the same way as I do.
Of course, we always listen to Bob because he always just has a really good collection of information.
People think that, defining gravity by taking a microphone and dropping it on the ground and saying, there's gravity. It's like, yeah, that's gravity, bitches. I mean, it's laughable.
Appreciate it very much again.
You're welcome.
Did an awesome job.
It gives me a little bit of practice, for what I'm going to be doing in Raleigh. Are you going to that by any chance? Are you going to the conference in Raleigh? Bummer.
Flat Earth's positive. When flat earthers get together, it doesn't matter their background or whatever, it's like you connect on such a deep level.
Infinite plane, how does that work as far as a dome, celestial?
Yeah, Mark Sargent asked me about that. I'm not going to assume there's a dome until somebody can show me the curvature of the sky. Until I find out otherwise, I'm just going to say infinite. A lot of infighting becomes something of a lot of factions. We can't have agendas diverting us from the fact that we don't know if the world is in fact a ball or flat.
As you're looking at the model, you're looking at all different possibilities and making it come together and work. When it becomes about fighting, oh, you're lying about this, or that's not true, to me that's not productive.
Flat Earth has camps. It is not unified by any degree. 70% of them believe that this is covered by some sort of dome. The other 30% believe that it's not covered and there's just more versions of this outside. I use Life of Brian as one of the metaphors for how Flat Earth fragmented when it first came out. When he was running away from them when he drops his shoe.
He has given us a sign!
Oh, he has given us a shoe!
Instantly, within I think less than 90 seconds, a series of religions formed around the dropping of the shoe.
Let us, like him, hold up one shoe and let the other be upon our...
Oh, no, the shoe is a sign that we must gather shoes.
Cast off the shoes, follow the goal!
No!
There's a dome, there's no dome.
Infinite plane, it doesn't seem natural.
I guess it's a dome. Hold up the sandal as he has commanded us.
It is a shoe! It's a sandal!
The enclosed system, you're in a confinement model like the globe was.
Take the shoes and follow him!
There's competition everywhere. And because of that competition, you mix that with a little bit of conspiracy, a little bit of paranoia, people go off the freaking deep end. Matt is one of the, if not the oldest veterans of the Flat Earth community. And so when he throws a temper tantrum, everybody hears it.
This is what they're doing. There's a mutiny going on. The fact that you're here is like raising a red flag.
Who am I? My name is Matt Howard. I'm the reason why Edward Snowden spoke up.
When the Flat Earth thing started taking off after the clues were put out, people were calling me asking to interview him because I was one of the only people that knew Matt's phone number. And he's doing the whole aloof artist thing. It's like, oh, no, I don't give interviews. What do you think their follow-up question was? Well, how about you? Do you want to talk about Flat Earth? I go, sure, why not? Here's my spiel. Matt lost it. He went atomic. He did a series of videos and called into another podcast who was streaming live, called everybody out, is convinced that I work for the government, that you, sitting here now, apparently this is a government safe house and I am on the payroll. Matt wanted to be the king of Flat Earth, but he wanted to do it on his terms.
I started this. I'm the tension that caused the Flat Earth. That's how the Flat Earth started.
Which is not what happened. The community just kept growing bigger and bigger and bigger, and his voice just became lost in the wind, to where all of a sudden we started, the conference was announced down in North Carolina, and he was invited. And he said, no, I'm not gonna do the comment, why should I be in a room with you guys? You're nothing without me, that whole song and dance, and that was just annoying. So now it's getting more serious.
Mark Sargent is what I always thought. He's been sent in kind of an intelligence fashion, working with Hollywood. Well, Mark Sargent's not Mark Sargent. It's Warner Brothers, you idiots. And I told you, Warner Brothers has a deal with the Pentagon, the CIA.
Matt went on a complete tear.
Did he?
Cried and swore that he would have revenge. It's like, whatever, dude, you're still not coming to the conference. He's just thrashing. He's trying to tear everybody down if he can. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal, but it causes ripples with the ground troops. We're trying to look for stability to get to the point where it's accepted.
You cannot believe a flat earther theory without believing in some giant conspiracy. Because you have to have some reason why all this proof is wrong. And if it's wrong, then it had to have been faked. And if it was faked, well, there you go, there's your conspiracy. And what I always am most curious about is, why would someone bother to fake all this?
So when it comes to science, think of it this way. If you have 450 years of them showing you it's a globe, how much is that worth to them to keep it? It's worth everything.
But then, Mark, you have to go, who was behind the whole thing? I mean, that's the...
I know.
I wish I was in a conspiracy. That seems so exciting. I wish that I was getting paid off. I really do.
When I was in space, I got paid extra. $5 a day. That's how rich I got.
Well, I think of all of these conspiracies or belief systems as a spider's web. And from what I can see, the flat earth is the center of it all.
If you can start getting a conspiracy theory into someone's head, it's amazing how suddenly everything seems this way.
They, the powers that should not be, are doing whatever they can with the vaccines, with the GMO foods, with the chemtrails.
The transgender push in the media, that they're trying to turn all the guys into girls and girls into guys.
Even the fear that there will be hijackers taking a plane and putting it through a building. By the way, I don't believe there were planes through buildings.
They seem to have to tell us and disclose to us what they're doing through media, movies, TV shows.
Who do you think are the real controllers?
I don't think there's anybody who knows who's at the top of the control grid. Some people point the finger at the Jews. Some say it's the Masons.
The Rothschilds and the Rockefellers.
Jesuits, Satanists.
The Vatican.
Yeah, ultimately, the Vatican.
There's bad people in all of those groups, and probably pretty normal people in all of those groups. Although I don't know if there's good Satanists.
Anybody who you can see or you know their name, they're merely a front for, you're never gonna know who the real controllers actually are.
Oftentimes, it actually starts with conventional wisdom isn't to be trusted, governments aren't to be trusted, scientists aren't to be trusted. And when you start with that premise, then you can get into all sorts of corners.
And I think what's really scary is what they're actually doing isn't just hiding the flat earth. It's the fact that they're still doing human sacrifice and blood rituals.
What source do you trust?
Myself. That's it. I've jokingly said if there's an event like I'll just use Boston bombing again, I'm not going to believe any of those events are real unless I get my leg blown off.
For many people, no matter what evidence you throw at them, they can come up with this more complicated and, in I think most of our eyes, less believable hypothesis.
I get amateur astronomers will say, I can see the moons of Jupiter. Go to a planetarium. Does Jupiter look like a sphere to you? Who's to say that when you walk out of that one, you're just not in a much bigger one? Above the clouds, it is a display system.
There's this huge mound of evidence that most of us come to accept that really requires that you go through one after another and say, nope, I don't believe that, I don't believe that. Here's a countervailing theory. It just can spiral on itself and have this sort of snowball effect.
A funny thing is that I'm a conspiracy realist, but there's conspiracies about me.
I look at episode 54 of Patricia Steer. These people I hired by section heads and supervisors in supervisor roles at NASA, the NSA, the FBI, the CIA. These aren't regular people.
It started off with me being called a shill, as if I'm doing this for money. And then I was called a flat earth honeypot, to bring men into flat earth and then steer them the wrong way because my last name is Steer.
So what Patricia does is she's so pretty. All these guys. But that's a part of the lure of narcissistic, psychopathic women.
I never thought that the name Patricia, which is my first name, would be spun into the fact that the last 3 letters are CIA in the word Patricia, which means I'm in the CIA. Because the government would be that dumb. But okay, if people want to believe it. Other things that have been said, that I'm a reptilian and people see my eyes shape shift while I'm on YouTube, that I drink blood. The most recent one is that I'm transgender.
I mean, I even threw up a question one day, what's up with Patricia Steer, you know? Because I don't know, but I don't know.
Now, the thing about all of these things is I can't prove any of it wrong. I could and have shown people my birth certificate, my driver's license, photos of myself as a child, and they'll say, well, if you're CIA, all of that stuff can be constructed. People will still say you don't have a real family, that you don't have a brother and sister. There's nothing that I can do. So, anybody can believe whatever they want to believe about me, but I wonder if in their hearts, people who do that know they're lying, or are they so conspiratorial that they actually believe it? Then it makes me worry about maybe things I believe in. Am I like another version of them? But I know I'm not.
She gets a lot of hate because people love to hate her. She's become the villainess in this.
I gotta ask you, what's up with all the animosity?
All it is competition. That's all it is. You watched some Matt stuff.
Yeah.
Matt was the same.
Okay.
He actually called the conference Shillfest 2017.
Mark, you'll be right here.
Cool.
Can you say something?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
It's just weird how, like, all of a sudden, this whole movement of people believing in the flat Earth, just if you look on Google Trends, it's like spike.
We actually broke 1 million videos, physically 1 million videos, which is a lot, which means you're never going to get through them in your lifetime.
Yeah.
But if you type flat Earth into YouTube at the beginning of 2015, you came up with 50,000 hits, roughly, right? Search results.
Okay.
If you type it in this morning, I think it was at 19.3 or 19.4. I hadn't checked it since I got here. 19.4 million. It feels like it's part of something bigger.
Well, here it is, my 4 years of my life. I call it my Flat Earth Rider. It's all electric. I love to work with wood, so decided to cover it in exotic hardwood. I'll get behind here, you can see me on the camera. The famous ride. Oh wow, it goes. It handles great. I really wanted to bring my bike to the conference. It's a good way to break some conversation. People that aren't even flat earthers, they go, wow, that's a cool looking bike you got there. And then I go, wow, this is my Flat Earth Rider, you know, and then kind of flat smack them and go from there. I wanted to do something to contribute to it all, to help spread the word. And I didn't have experience at making videos. And I thought, well, I have special skills and abilities to maybe make some kind of physical model of the thing. Because when you see it in 3D, it's a little easier to get the concept. If somebody would have said to me 3 years ago that I'd be known as the first person in the world to make these flat Earth models, I would have laughed and said, you're completely insane. But here we are, and it happened, and I don't know how it happened. The very first one I made for Mark Sargent had the King Dome on it. Over here is some examples of the newest ones. This one right here is number 33. 2 years in making FE models, September 11th, 2017. These little buttons I put on here to control the brightness. I'm a perfectionist, and as much as I'm selling these for, to me, they got to be perfect. For the bigger domes, it won't fit in my oven, so I had to make this little box right here. Hopefully I got that hooked up right. It's getting hot. There we go.
Just over the horizon, that's where I always think you'll be. And it's always so surprising to find you right there next to me. In this rolling landscape, how'd you know just where I'd be?
Just this mechanism right here is 21 parts.
In this
And we are turning. It's good. And it's working. That's how you do it.
These people can be very, very bright. So the issue is not necessarily lack of intelligence.
It's not about being educated or uneducated or smart or dumb. It really isn't.
I think it's sometimes miseducation. I think somebody can be educated in such a way that they are educated to distrust authority on a regular basis, which kind of poisons the well up and down the line.
However, sometimes the question like this is helpful. What would be the type of evidence that would make you review your position? Is there any kind of test?
I started a channel called Globebusters. Really the goal was at the beginning was I wanted to be shown proof that the Earth was a ball because I was shocked to not find evidence. And then I was like, Bob, do you want to do like a weekly show?
This is where I broadcast the Globebusters show from. We do our show once a week, every Sunday. We are a grassroots group of engineers and scientists. We have done several experiments that show the Earth is flat.
I mean, I think that the scientific method is the best way to get to the truth. And I just want to feel comfortable in things that I believe.
The difference between being skeptical about something and being in denial is very subtle but very important, right? Someone who is skeptical is willing to test their own hypothesis, their own assumptions. They are actually looking for the truth, even if it turns out that they were wrong.
Recently, we carried out an experiment to test the rotation to the Earth. If the Earth is spinning at one rotation every 24 hours, that means that every hour it has to turn 15 degrees. And if the gyroscope is mounted anywhere on Earth, it's going to drift. In today's 21st century navigation systems, they're using what's called a ring laser gyroscope. It is extremely precise. If we could simply get one of these ring laser gyroscopes, we would be able to prove once and for all that there is no rotation to the Earth. One of the people in the community actually purchased one for $20,000.
You start at point A, and then you do some kind of process of collecting evidence, of thinking, or whatever you want, and you end up at a conclusion, point B, that you believe is true, okay? Science is the arrow. That's all science is the arrow. Science is a process to get to conclusions.
But what we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15-degree-per-hour drift. Now, obviously we were taken aback by that. Wow, that's kind of a problem, right?
But there's a whole other way to think, which is that you start at B. You start at the conclusion, and you say, I have to find evidence that shows that this is true.
You're not looking for data to try to prove you wrong or refine your position, right? You're trying to look for all the data that proves you right.
You'll cherry pick until you find evidence that appears to be an arrow, a logical arrow to your dogma.
We obviously were not willing to accept that, and so we started looking for ways to disprove that it was actually registering the motion of the Earth and that it in fact was registering the motion of the sky. So the next thing that we set out to do was to encase the fiber optic gyro in what's called a zero Gauss chamber to see if we could actually shield the energies being generated by the heaven. And we were unsuccessful with that, unfortunately. So the next thing that we're going to try is encasing the entire apparatus in bismuth. If everything works well, I'd like to release it at the conference.
If there's not anything that you can say, anything you can show me that could make me believe, oh, I guess I'm wrong, it's not falsifiable anymore. It doesn't make any sense for a scientist to argue with that kind of thinking. There's no point.
We have been able to prove other aspects of it, and so it's not unreasonable then for us to continue claiming that the Earth is flat.
What do you think?
Popcorn's great.
Why am I in Houston? To court Patricia Steere, no. When she was up in Seattle, we went to the Seattle Museum of Flight just to go into enemy territory. It has a sizable space exhibit. So we did a live stream and it went very well and no controversy. We weren't thrown out or anything. And we thought, there's one down in Houston, Houston Space Center. It's like, all right, fly down.
We're going to NASA to get indoctrinated. I'm scared. Hold me.
Prepare to keep left.
So why didn't you go with the male voice?
So I don't want men telling me what to do.
Your destination is too far away.
Your destination is not worth going to.
You can't get there from here.
Please make alternative choice.
Do you even know how to drive this vehicle?
We're so close to the enemy, I can smell their breath. Hello.
I love the music in the background.
Okay.
God bless America.
We're ready to go live once I hit the go live button. It might take a while because we may have a bad connection.
We're live.
Hello, we're here. It's Patricia Steere and Mark Sargent.
Hello.
We are in Houston, Texas at the Houston Space Center. This museum that we are in will probably be a mix of real and fake. What do you think?
Well, it's going to be mostly fake. You've got Angry Birds in space endorsing this. NASA's now taking co-sponsors.
It doesn't even really look like the moon.
No, it doesn't.
This is what NASA is reduced to. Their costume astronaut suit with a broken watch strap. Okay? I think we're winning, people.
Wow.
Mark's going into space. At least this is free.
There's the curvature of the Earth. I've been brainwashed. And I keep hitting this button for splashdown sequence and nothing happens.
Capsule into the ocean.
Start. Yeah.
So this isn't working.
It's not even working.
So there's a broken watch on one of the astronauts. There's this broken.
Yeah, this is broken. The Orion simulator is broken.
It costs about $30 to get in per person, give or take. Everything is run down.
Everything's worn.
Everything is kind of broken. Chris Pontius could teach this place how to make things. Highlight of the whole thing.
Look, Ma, I'm an astronaut.
You guys look.
I can understand why this part is
It looks like
free.
it's a barn. Empty.
There's one car in the lot.
You know what? That's not the door to enter. Come on.
I'm gonna try it.
Of course. It's gonna try it.
There's no way.
It opened.
This is it.
This is the entry.
This is
Folks.
the entry.
Whoa. Okay, this is impressive because of magnitude of size. Wait. We're the only ones here. Does everyone see how big this is? We're the only ones here. I'm going to say something that's never been uttered in any NASA facility ever.
Oh, I can't wait.
The Earth is flat!
And it echoed. That was brilliant. What you're looking at is part of the greatest science fiction story ever told. What if mainstream science figured out that the world was not a globe anymore? So you create a rocket program to take the picture, to even fake the picture, they had to discontinue it before the technology, way before the internet was created, way before HD technology was created. You make it seem like it's just not that big a deal.
So someone just made that?
Mm-hmm. They took.
Yeah, from yesterday. And honestly, you throw the General Inception soundtrack on anything, it makes it sound way better.
Mark Sargent.
Oh my God.
Can I have?
Yeah, I know this is the one that NASA gets to come at me for.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Welcome to episode number 186 of Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. I'm Patricia Steer.
And I'm Mark Sargent.
Laura Lawson asks, have you ever been out somewhere and someone recognized you by your voice, Mark or Patricia? For me, the answer is absolutely not.
Me, on the other hand, yes.
Really?
Oh my God.
I don't think that we're celebrities. I think that people who are looking into Flat Earth want to get away from that culture.
No, it's good. No, it's a safe answer. I'm going to take it a little different direction. I don't think I'm a celebrity, but yet when I go do public functions, I run into people that do the deer in the headlights. She's just staring at me, and I go, "What?" She goes, "You're Mark Sargent." I go, "Yeah." She goes, "I didn't know." I was like, "Oh, seriously?" And she was, yeah, and she had that whole thing.
That must be a very pleasing feeling because you've affected her life. Being on with me doing The Secret Show has made your face more recognizable. And being on with you on Strange World was sort of a way that people got to know me a long time ago. So we've been having a lovely symbiotic relationship. Like a whale that has those smaller fish on it that like eats all the algae in the gills.
Boy, I better be the whale in this story. The international conference is only about, 6 weeks away. So the first day, she's going to be on a panel, and then I am doing a keynote speaking event. And then the second day, the last event, really the last event of the conference, Patricia and I are going to be hosting the Video Awards show. But I don't want to go, can I just stay?
You had a nice time, right?
I did have a nice time.
Yeah, I had a great time too. It was pretty fun.
A really nice time.
At a conference in Raleigh, we want to have proof there's no curvature. And if we can do that, it's game over. But the rotation is not looking good at this point. That's weird. We don't want to blow this, you know?
Right.
And we've got $20,000 in this freaking gyro. But yeah, if we dumped what we found right now, we would be, it'd be bad. It would be bad. So what I just told you is confidential.
Okay, I won't say anything.
Not any one single experiment proves anything conclusively. That's why we're building a preponderance of evidence.
I think there's a few more experiments we could do with lasers and leveling. I think Jaren's working on a great experiment now that's going to help with all that.
What we're going to be doing is an experiment at Victoria Canal in Holt, California. It's a 3.88 mile stretch. We're going to actually have set up 3 posts, one at the start, one at the end, and one in the middle. And then we're going to shoot a laser from the first post and see where it crosses that first post. So let's say it's 8 feet, and then get it to cross the same point at the far end. And when we can confirm that both are passing the exact same spot, then somebody will tell us what the middle's at. And if the middle's at 8 feet, it's flat. And if it comes back that it's only 5.5 feet, then yeah, I mean that means that the Earth has curvature.
That's a cool experiment, actually, just in general. It's interesting. So I'm trying to think if there's a laser is just going straight. Yeah, they're in trouble here.
So like a laser, like for your cat, I think would be 5 or even less milliwatts. So this is 3,000 milliwatts. The beam will grow as it gets further. And if you put the expander on, it's supposed to get smaller. The most surprising thing I've learned is how hard experiments are. There's so many things that go wrong. I think I didn't give enough credit to people who do experiments.
Usually they have a way to say, well, I don't believe that evidence. But it's rare that you have something which is performed by them and it's just so obvious. There's just no other way to look at it. So I'm curious to see what happens. It's really going to be interesting, actually, like how they handle it. Yeah.
We as flat earthers feel that we have several smoking guns. Several. there's no curve, but we don't want to present it yet. We want to have the whole package. Between the laser and the fiber optic gyro, this technology is going to kill the ball. They would like us to believe that the ball Earth has been proven for a long, long time, but this debate has raged on for centuries.
Here in the U.S., millions are getting ready for a spectacular dance between the sun and moon.
Today's eclipse is a reminder of our place in the solar system, so I hope you're sitting down for this. Despite loads of irrefutable proof, some people still believe the Earth is flat.
There's this big war right now. Does the eclipse disprove flat Earth? That's the big hot debate. In fact, the Philadelphia Voice, a newspaper, just did their thing, and they contacted me and then Bob from Globebusters. What they don't know is that the guy from the Philly Voice is also, one of ours.
No, I'm not a secret flat earther.
That line from Spectre, from James Bond, he goes, the thing you should know about us is we have people everywhere.
I might get business cards made up with that now.
If you were here right now, where we are on Whidbey Island, you would still have 93% of the eclipse. To get that extra 7%, we got to drive 3 hours and face a mob of Woodstock proportions. Is that worth it? No, not in my opinion, but we're going to be representing and putting the focus. All we have to do is get the attention of people.
Okay. Love you.
Love you.
All right.
Additional delays are expected due to eclipse-related traffic.
Oh, not yet, not yet. Come on. I bet that's it. Let's take a look.
You want my surreal moment of the day? Here it is. 2 years after I make Flat Earth Clues, here we are on one of the biggest freeways in the United States, on the biggest eclipse in 100 years. We're flashing Flat Earth messages. And I had nothing to do with it. This was done by a completely different Flat Earth chapter, and the fact that I'm saying Flat Earth chapter like it's a thing is amazing. I love Flat Earth. I love them. Found out perfect thing for you to film. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gather round. Here to tell you a tale of the globe. Oh, it's not a happy story, my friends. This isn't even the biggest one I've seen. The biggest one I've ever seen is down in Raleigh at the National Convention. Go figure, we didn't even pick the city for that. They start launching nukes straight up in 1958. After the third shot, they formed NASA. The media has helped us because they've said, what do flat earthers think about the eclipse? It's great because people want to know. They're curious. Like, what do they think? It's just another part of the firmament, the dome, the display system.
What are your takes then about the moons of Jupiter?
Same thing. I caught his smile when I was talking about the planetarium part, and he wasn't buying it. It's in his head. He may research it, may not. That's what the billboard's for. We're just trying to put the seeds in people's heads. Go to Flat Earth Clues, and any one of those videos in the description, you'll see a link that says Join the Flat Earth Army. Right now, Bob from Globebusters is launching a weather balloon as we speak. They're hoping to see the eclipse from 100,000 feet.
And there it goes.
Safe for direct solar viewing. My eyes. Oh yeah, we're getting close now. Here it comes. Totally worth it. Worth it. Worth every second of it. So glad I'm here.
How was the eclipse itself? Did you have a feeling? Was there anything in the air when it happened? Anything weird?
It's like seeing like a special effect in a movie that really catches you off guard. It appeared that the sun is self-eclipsing, that there was no three-dimensional object that was moving in front of the sun. And that's what we've been thinking about the moon. So when I saw this, it's like, oh yeah, of course that's what it's doing. New York Times, Seattle Times. Okay. There it is. This morning, the South Whitby Record ran a front page story on the flat Earth. South Whitby grad Mark Sargent has been known for many things. Once it was for homemade fireworks. Another time, he was the digital pinball champion of the world. Today, he is a leading figure of the flat Earth movement. Yes, he really believes the Earth is a disc. Then on the inside cover, you actually have the editor's column, and he only wrote one thing this week called, "The world is not flat, the news isn't fake." I met with a conspiracy theorist this week, a bona fide flat earther. He's utterly and unequivocally wrong. So why promote a theory the vast majority of people find ridiculous?
I haven't told a lot of people that this is what Mark is into, because I'm thinking they're just going to think we're screwy.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but like, do you agree?
That the Earth is flat?
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, I want to see that it is proven that it is not flat. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. Well...
Good answer. I didn't even coach her on that one.
No, and I will tell you, since we've done this for what, 3 years? Two and a half years.
Not even.
And my prayer has been continually that truth will be revealed.
All of us have that tendency to want to connect to people around things that make us unique. One thing we know is that human beings feel very threatened when we feel that identity being taken away.
Joining the club often comes as a relief because they can finally identify with other like-minded people. For the first time, they're not different and no longer alone.
Sorry, I got something for you to sign.
Yeah.
Stay flat, something like that.
Defacing a harmless globe. I was proud to do it. I'm excited to be a part of it. This is a flat Earth meetup, and they flew me down for this because I'm infamous. Because I'm real. That's what everyone said. You know, they want to shake my hand and make sure that they touch me. That sort of thing. Like it's like, oh yeah, he's a real guy. He's not just a voice on a video.
All right, so welcome to Der Wolfskopf. You're here for an Astronomy on Tap. So what this is, it's a monthly outreach event. We've got 2 astronomy talks related to something that's going on in research, something that's going on at JPL, something that's been in the news. Lastly, but not leastly, we have an extra large NASA swag t-shirt.
Let's see some cool Bob Ross. Yep, that's all eyes.
So I'm gonna talk tonight about my favorite now dead spaceship, Cassini.
I stayed up all night to watch the last data transmissions come in. I was sitting there with my dogs looking at me like, why is the light still on? Why are we still awake?
I'm Mark Sargent.
Oh God. Sargent.
So Lamar Glover is going to talk about dismantling the scientific superiority complex.
Hey, what's going on? How y'all doing? So I'm gonna talk about flat earthers real quick, right?
The problem I see is actually not from the side of the conspiracy theorists. It is actually from our side, from the side of science. very often it's difficult not to look down.
I was so frustrated about getting told I was an idiot. So I decided to say, laugh at me all you want, because science is different than the shit they're believing. I've already lost friends and stuff. So I felt so good when I made the shirt.
The friend said, you know, sometimes the only way to change somebody's mind is to shame them. And I say, I don't think that is the last resort ever. This is the same as saying that if a kid doesn't get a particular subject, it's not your fault as their teacher, it is their fault. I do not believe that. It's just that you haven't developed your empathy to be able to see from their point of view where they're getting stuck.
We can't blame it all on people just being delusional or the C word, which is the crazy word. I think a lot of times we say crazy and it's a scapegoat, it's an umbrella term, right? How many people in here have been called crazy before?
I've shared it with my mother, my daughter, 2 guys who I was dating who didn't want to date me anymore after I told them about my belief in the flat earth.
You know, I have 4 children. My sons are grown. Them and their mother, who's my ex-wife, kind of think Dad's a little gone off his rocker.
I just finalized the divorce. I no longer speak to my parents, my brother, or anybody else other than people that are interested in doing truth research.
The worst case scenarios, you just completely push these individuals at the fringe of society, and then society just lost them.
And you would say to yourself, well, why would you pursue something if you're going to have a falling out with your blood relatives? What's important is truth.
People give you strange looks, that's fine. If you're not hurting them, let them think what you want. They're just asleep, going through life. They're just background noise.
I do find Mark to be a hero, but you're so lovely for doing that for everyone, and it is so touching. But
give me a hug.
It just,
give me a hug.
You're laughing.
I decided just to give it to you.
No, you don't have to give me this. Yeah, give me the pin. I've got apparently a swag bag that's happening.
Do you get lots of stuff?
Not as much. No? Not like this.
Truthers, flat earthers, anti-vaxxers. When we leave people behind, we leave bright minds to mutate and stagnate. These folks are potential scientists gone completely wrong. Their natural inquisitive and rejection of norms could be beneficial to science if they were more scientifically literate.
Let's take the metaphor of argument is war. One side wins and the other loses. If my opponent feels he's better than me, that's intolerable to me. So I'll not listen to what he says. Already when he's talking, I'll be planning my counterattack. Another way of thinking about it is, let's go and explore together. And this exploring together takes us to another place than argument.
So every flat earther shouldn't be held with the contempt, but serve as a reminder of a scientist that could have been, someone that fell through the cracks. And we as ambassadors of science are called upon to do more, right? So scientists of varying degrees of professionalism seriously consider becoming a mentor to someone who is coming from a non-traditional point of entry to the sciences.
If you're not willing to engage with them, you can't expect them to change.
You just hope that they will meet you even halfway, but often when you push them to the corner, it takes a lot of effort for them to even move one step towards you.
Those make pretty good waves. Jaron. Nice to meet you. Your name? Bob. Could use your help too. We're gonna maybe have you guys do the middle station. We have these panels. We're gonna try the panels instead of, I think, the posts. We're gonna get the leveler right now. See a red line right around where that green is? This way a little bit. To your right. Press it once to turn on, then double press it. Okay, hold on. Keep it right there.
Let's say this is the light that you see. You just mark where it is.
So it might be that big, you're saying?
I don't think so. I think it'll be under a foot for sure. And then we're gonna have one of these panels in the middle, and then when we have both ones hitting at the same height, then we'll just move the panel in between. The middle people will. And then wherever it crosses the panel, that's it. Then we're done. Okay, where's the...
We're ready.
I got a big beam, so you're gonna see it. I just wanna make sure you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it, but it's kind of high. It's high. Yeah. Or go up a little bit.
Up a little bit.
Up a little, you said. There. There? Yeah, just keep it there. Keep it there.
Yeah, right about there looks good. You got it?
I think the beam's gonna be too big though.
We want you to narrow
the beam.
The beam.
Okay.
If it's too big for us, it's going to be way too big for them.
Absolutely. Okay. Tell me if the beam gets smaller right now.
That's what we need.
Okay, tell me if it gets smaller. There.
The beam was taking up the whole panel.
I should work on the beam first.
I think you should work on that beam first.
Are the specs on that laser that it should get to that small of a dot at that distance?
With the focuser, yeah, it should be at least less than 4 feet. Okay, I got it on a pretty tight beam, so I'm gonna try and find you right now. Okay, I see the light.
Yes, I definitely see that.
There it goes.
Same size?
Thanks, you too. They're all leaving. So.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't mind.
But we should leave.
You too.
Take 2 hours.
I know.
Home.
I know, but I'm not gonna just...
You have to figure out that laser.
Yeah, I know. Bob, I'm gonna shoot it, and if you don't see it any smaller, then we're gonna have to reassess this. Is it a smaller beam?
No, it's not a smaller beam. It's the same. It's 15 feet wide.
Man. I don't know what to do.
Not today.
You'll come back?
We have to, yeah. And you just gotta figure out the way to make it work.
Well, a sellout crowd is expected in North Carolina this weekend for, get this, the Flat Earth International Conference.
There's Patricia.
I'm so excited. It's like Christmas Eve.
Guess you need it. Write it like the dead
Nice.
did it. Make believe you still got it. Forget it. I remember.
Putting that on Facebook. Like later, I'm on a block right now, 30-day block.
Still can't believe all this is really happening.
Oh my God. Right on, man. Keep it flat. You know, there's only a couple people that have the blackout shirts. Yeah. Of course, I was there.
You're hot potato.
That's me. This is Hollywood for her. Well, in a way, for me too.
Are we twinkling? There we go. I drove 1,150 miles yesterday, so...
I traveled from Ireland then to Iceland.
Oh, you came even further.
Hello, Bob. How are you? Hug or handshake or how about both? This room is big. What if I trip when I walk up there? You know, like something like that. I know. Used to the safety of you two.
Hey, is Mark here?
He's busy being Mark Sargent.
Sweet. Look, I got my...
I have one too. I didn't put it on. What does it say?
Well, why would you put it on? It's not fashionable. You changed outfits, obviously.
Hey, pleasure. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'm hoping we can fill the place.
I think ODD is really regretting. And I told him, I go, the idea of Mark and Patricia as operatives is laughable. I mean, and nothing against you. I'm just saying, that's
I
so
get
ridiculous. You know,
It's like, come on, man. I still don't believe it.
Hello.
going to the Flat Earth Conference. Okay, first off, they're not at a real Flat Earth Conference. That's more a military play using Hollywood assets, which explains why Dennis Luca, who's playing the character Mark Sargent, owned by Joe Reel or Ralph Reel, if that's his real name, has access to interview people in the Air Force and the military.
So it's like, so you think I'm a guy named Joe or a guy named Dennis?
I said, look, I checked out Mark Sargent, I did the forensic analysis of it. I'm telling you, what Mark is saying is true.
Now the sad part of this is that a lot of people bought a ticket, and they said there's no refunds. So if I were to put out a video exposing Mark Sargent, well, they'd keep the money. Now you're probably too scared to go.
It's a lot of people not to come, and I'm like, usually, you know, because they understand they're not going to refund. Right. It's money out the window. They're all excited. I was just like, maybe he's not at a point. Maybe this is a setup, and maybe we have to be careful.
But I've been saying this for, I don't know, like since this guy showed up.
People say, because of you, I'm not going. Or because of Patricia, I'm not going.
I couldn't believe the amount of people that came to me, and they're just like, I'm in line with him. I'm going to take that stand.
I just let you call me delusional. I let you call me crazy. Why? Because I'm the one who came up with the flat Earth.
Cryptos Media proudly presents the first annual Flat Earth International Conference.
This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. This is a time that we've all been waiting for. This is now becoming something that cannot be ignored. Unfortunately, some people, didn't attend this year. It's okay. Look, we have our differences. We may not agree with one another, and we can choose to get all wrapped on that, or we can sit here and we can be here and we can grow saying, you know what? We all agree we're not on a spinning ball flying through space. This will continue to grow. This will get bigger and honestly change the world.
This one right here was number 2. And then this one's number 33. And then the latest one here is this little simple one. This is number 36.
It is a privilege and an honor to bring out Jaron Campanella.
When this all started, I was looking for the truth, you guys know that, and deep down inside, I think everybody knows that it's flat.
This is called the Flat Earth Rider. This is the front brake right here. We turn the brake on, it lights the crystals up. These are models of the flat Earth. And then the latest one was this map circulating around, showing other continents outside of our world.
This is so life-affirming, and I think that this whole event is going to have a healing effect on the whole Flat Earth community.
I really liked that. That was really interesting.
I got chills from it and was like, yeah.
It's going to be tough to actually see. No, it's the house lights we're going to bring up.
But don't bring up the light. Don't bring up the lights too far. Go time.
Mark Sargent's the guy that kicked this off for me.
For me, it was the second video, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, was the infamous Flat Earth Clues.
I click on that video, and the first words I hear, this is a Reader's Digest version of the Flat Earth Theory and some of the more interesting topics.
I hear a lot of things about Mark Sargent, but one thing I can say is that Mark Sargent is one of the hardest workers in Flat Earth.
Thank you. Thank you. Love you. Love you. And I'm trying not to get emotional here because it's such a great, amazing thing to see everybody. I love the Flat Earth community. That's no lie. I love you, excited person over there. But let me be clear. I am not the father of Flat Earth, all right? All I did was walk up to a door that was already there, point at it, and say, hey, I think there's something very interesting on the other side. Right? And all you crazy people, you had to poke your head inside and take a look around. Now, here we are, 2 years later. You've taken this further than I ever would have hoped. For that, I'd like to give you my deepest and most sincere thank you. So, microphones, questions.
How long do you think it will take for this to be taught alongside the globe Earth?
I think we're almost at the critical mass point, and the media here proves that.
Within the CIA, who actually implanted you within the community? Just kidding.
Who is behind propagating the globalist lie? Is it the US government? Are other governments in collusion?
Yes, yes, and yes. All those things. All of the above. You, go!
I was wondering, how high do you think the dome is?
How old are you?
12.
Good for you. Thank you, by the way, and thank you for coming. Did you come here with your parents? Did you sneak out of school? How'd you get here?
I came here with my parents.
Right on. Where are your parents?
Right over there.
Thank you, guys. And that will seg me into my letter I was going to read you guys. Mark, my grandkids are 12, 10, and 8 years old and are all third-generation flat earthers. You convinced me nearly 2 years ago. I passed it on to my kids, and together we pass it on to my grandchildren.
So flat earthers, pretty innocuous, right?
Yeah, people can believe what they want.
It's a little bit funny, even if you don't spend too much time thinking about it.
When their science teacher was telling the kids the Earth spins at 1,000 miles an hour and goes around the sun, the class erupted, with about a third of the class saying, "No, it doesn't."
But the problem is that this isn't a phenomenon restricted to flat earthers.
They try to make other people believe it, and then those people take it a step further and then just kind of, discount all kinds of scientific principles.
Long live flat Earth. Cool.
Thank you.
Hey, very welcome, man.
What is it that you want them to take away?
Question everything. Don't assume anything when it comes to what you're told. If you're wrong about this, what else do you want to, revisit? Evolution? The Big Bang?
It runs the gamut from people that are anti-vaxxers.
Denial of evolution because it conflicts with the Bible, for example.
And all of a sudden you get people that maybe work in our government that don't believe what 97% of all climate experts say.
And so they're making uninformed or poorly informed decisions. And that affects all of us.
Especially with social media now. There's a lot of information out there. I know YouTube, they'll say YouTube is full of rabbit holes that don't go anywhere.
Land of right now, everybody's like fake news, fake news.
Fake news, fake news. Yeah, of course.
If you have a growing section of the population that doesn't know how to think critically and doesn't know how to evaluate expert resources, they're going to be very easy to manipulate.
Why not raise the money and do an exploration and find the edge of the Earth?
Oh, spoilers. We have acquired funding. It was only a matter of time before we were going to get money, so now the experiments start ramping up.
Go ahead and roll the video.
Since the late 1800s, science has been shifting from discovery to dogma. It's time for the scientific research field to be unencumbered.
Today we announce the formation of Field Engineers Corps, an international group dedicated to true scientific discovery, free of dogmatic agenda.
This is going to be the chance to do our science and present it to the world. We will experimentally show that there's no curvature to the Earth, there is no forward motion to the Earth, as well as the energy that's coming from the stars and the sky is rotating around this plane at about 15 degrees per hour.
The less plausible your dogma is, the less it meshes with reality, the larger the alternative reality you're going to have to create. All of existence suddenly is through a different lens. I want to believe this doesn't mesh with reality, so don't change my view, change reality.
I do wonder what the motivation is for it. It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense.
It's their escape. I'm in a room with people that absolutely will not judge me.
So many of you have been through so much pain.
My entire life, I've kind of felt separate, like nothing was quite right.
We never really fit in. We find ourselves to be somewhat isolated. And we want to talk to people about this thing, but nobody wants to talk to us.
In The Truman Show, the big reason why the lead character left when he discovered his entire world was fake was he had nothing to lose. Jim Carrey was inevitably going to leave that place because there was nothing for him inside. Compare that with anyone else. Let's say we'll go to the other end, which would be the mayor of that town. Let's say the mayor of that town got in a sailboat and got out to the edge. The guy's got limos, the guy's got mistresses, he's got money, he's got a pretty cushy life. Does he open the door and face the devil you don't know versus the devil you know? No.
Wouldn't you say, in a sense though, like you're now the mayor of Flat Earth?
Say you lose faith in this thing. What then happens to my personal relationships? And what's the benefit of me of doing that? Will the mainstream people welcome me back? No, they couldn't care less. But have I now lost all my friends in this community? Yes. So suddenly you're doubly isolated.
If I tried to go, there would be so many people. They would come and say, don't do it. And so I couldn't leave if I wanted to.
It becomes a question of identity. Who am I in this world? And I can define myself through this struggle.
This is somewhat of a battle, more or less between good and evil.
We're actually very special, and we start to realize that there is a purpose to our life.
You're a force to be reckoned with, so we need to take you seriously.
Then that makes you the protagonist. And it's very enticing. Once you get into it, it feels great to be the underdog protagonist in a Disney movie. Everything you do is justified. And when people mock you, well, that's because they're evil. When people try to prove you wrong, when they do prove you wrong, you quickly say, well, there you go, there's the evil. You know, no one's Ursula in their own story.
We are changing the world, we are making history.
This is what you've been waiting for.
You're not alone. You're not this little speck of dust flying through space at incredible velocities. You are the center of the universe, as a matter of fact. You are the star of the show.
I think that what Flat Earthers can offer us is a way to have 99.9% of people say, well, that's ridiculous. Imagine believing that. And then to turn it around and say, how are you a Flat Earther? Where are you and your people, the protagonist in a Disney movie? Where are you constructing a reality?
Somebody asked me, what if it turned out wrong? What if it was wrong? What if would you feel this sense of guilt if all of a sudden it was proved to be a globe?
We have a backup experiment. If you're seeing through this hole, through the next hole, and seeing the light at the backboard, or at 17 feet off the water, the Earth is flat. If he's holding it up at 23 feet high and we're seeing the light, well, that's because the Earth's curved. So I should only be able to see it when it's at 17 feet. Okay, go ahead and drive down there, Enrique. You're gonna hold the light there. Enrique, how high is your light?
17 feet.
I mean, it's as, we don't see you, Enrique. Lift up your light way above your head. Interesting. Interesting there.